Yeah, Hari Om and Jai Gurudev.
Hari Om.
Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. Yeah, we're going deeper and deeper into all the different stories of the Puranas. And it is like story time for all of us. I
It's
was
like
just thinking,
ocean we are
yeah,
diving,
it is like
getting
one,
all pearls of wisdom.
right. And one story leads to the other. And, you know, i- there is no way anyone can get Alzheimer's if you read these stories and you remember and recollect and then share them. The amount of memory space it takes out and how it sharpens the memory. I'm really in awe of that.
Dr. Chandra seems Nana has mastered it. How did he do it?
Yeah. No, like I said, he would read them several times over. You know, one of the greatnesses of my father is that he would never have this thing called boredom in his life. He says, how can anyone get bored? There's so much, the wealth of the itihasas, scriptures. So he would always engage himself with something or the other. And he's an avid reader. If he picks up a book, that is one thing with him. He will not leave it without completing it. And as
Wow.
when he was a student in engineering, when he was doing his engineering, apparently he would start reading one whatever the chapter, and supposing he stops midway, he would again restart, go from the beginning, and then continue. So he had done that several times over.
So
That
it
is
is like this from his childhood?
I don't know whether he was so
No, as long as you know him.
yeah.
So he is devoting most of the day to study the Puranas. Otherwise,
No. He lived a full life in that he was into, I know we're kind of deviating a little bit. He used to play bridge. Bridge is a card game, which is an intellectual card game.
yes, I know.
My grandfather taught all his sons, their 7 brothers. So he taught them because in his retirement he could play with them. So my father and all his brothers are into playing bridge. So he would spend a good part of his after work hours playing bridge. But he would also, at one point, I can't remember when, I think I was about maybe in my 3rd grade, 3rd or 4th standard, when that is the time I remember he used to start attending Swami Chinmayananda's lectures. He would chant the Karma Yoga, he would chant the Bhajagovindam every day. So that is how we learned, all 3 of us, we learned the Karma Yoga by heart, just by listening to it. And then it slowly picked up, and then he became an ardent disciple of Swami Sukubodhananda Saraswati. He's the 3rd generation of Swamis after Swami Chinmayananda. So they would go and attend his Gita classes every 2 or 3 times a week. He would take my mother and they would go to Malleshwaram in Bangalore, and that is when he actually became so grounded in this. And then we would have a study circle at home. Every Wednesdays in the evening, we would have the Chinmayananda study circle, where people, like-minded people, would come home and they would discuss Tattva Bodh. My father would, take the lead, and they would discuss Tattva Bodh, Atma Bodh, Bhagavad Gita. So that is how he started off. And like I said, he's read these things several times over, like the Gita home study, Mahabharata or Ramayana, and he revels in that. See, one thing is to read, the other is to revel, and that's it. He can sit with it for hours without any.
Thank you so much. We all are so blessed, really. Especially you.
No, all of us are, no? That is why, see, we are associated with him. So that is again, it's a vibhuti of Bhagavan. Even that interest to read. Yeah. The buddhi, no? The cognition. I think one of the earlier shlokas, it says, Bhutanam asmi chetana, that I am the faculty of cognition amongst the embodied beings. So that chetana also is, I think, nicely fully developed in Nana, and that he's able to remember with so much of clarity in spite of his age.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Right. So, Rudranam Shankaraschasmi, Vittesho Yaksharakshasam, Vasunam Pavakaschasmi, Meru Shikarinamaham. And then Vasu also, there was a nice, lot of the story about how Bhishma was born and how he was cursed by Vashishta, that all the Vasus will not beget progeny. And he's born to Shantanu and Mother Ganges. Devavrata is his initial name. But after he takes this terrible vow, he's called Bhishma. And how did he become invincible? Nana mentioned something, right? He was...
the
The seven
gave
Vasus who
the
were
other Vasus,
the
they
other
gave
Vasus gave portion of their
sometime
power to
correct. They gave their portion of the power to Bhishma, and therefore he becomes invincible. Right. But he has a vow that he will not fight a woman or a woman who's become a man, and therefore Shikandi comes, and Shikandi becomes the cause of his demise.
I missed the story of Vasus. Maybe I will go back and listen.
Yeah. Even I don't know. There are 8 Vasus, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't know how they came around being cursed. That I think he had shared that yesterday. Even I had missed that a bit, and I was not able to go back.
That Prabhasa's wife asked for Vashishta's Kamdenu, and then Prabhasa, he brings that Kamdenu. That's how they get cursed.
Prabhasa is a Vasu, is it?
Yeah,
Is
I think so. Yeah. One of the Vasu's wife, she likes the cow which is in Vashishta's place, Nandini or Kamdenu.
Right.
And then that's how they get cursed, and yeah.
So all the Vasus get cursed because of that.
Yeah, all of them get cursed. And then the 8th one, whose wife asked to bring, he's the Bhishma, I think.
Hmm.
The all others have not done any wrong, so they get liberation quickly. But
Mm.
he's the one whose wife, he listens to his wife to steal something, and that's
Mm.
why he stays back.
Hmm.
Yeah. And Meru Shikarinamaham. Then a lot of stories around Brihas. Yeah. Purodhasam cha mukhyam mam vidhit partha brihaspatim senani namaham skandaha sarasamasmi sagaraha. So Purodhasam, among the priests, I am Brihaspati. Brihaspati is the priest of the gods, and his son is Bharadwaja, and Brihaspati is the son of one of the Saptarishis, right? Angirasa, I think. Right. So it is Angirasa, Brihaspati, and Bharadwaja. Incidentally, my maiden Gotra, my father's Gotra is Bharadwaja. So they normally take the 3 generations. So they say Angirasa, Bharhaspatya, and Bharadwaja. They remember those 3 super ancestors. And Senani Namaham Skandaha. And that story around how Skanda is born.
Yeah, that's actually from that
Skanda Purana, I think.
yeah, the third eye, that
Yeah.
that is called like a fire, they call it Teepori, like that. It goes and falls in this. This is specifically called Saravana Poigai, in Tamil. I'm not sure exactly is it in Ganges or somewhere. It's called Saravana Poigai. So that 6 of them will it will fall like it will become a flower kind of thing, and then each one will have one baby, like, so that's why for Muruga in Tamil Nadu, we have 6 thala, for the temple for this for the Muruga, we have 6 temples. And then the Shanmuga also is there, as like Nana said, like 6 head. It's called Shanmuga.
Mm.
Then,
Yeah,
then again,
there is another thing that when Shiva and Parvati are together, the Lord of love, Kama, I think, comes and disturbs them or so. Or he is in deep meditation. Shiva
yeah,
is in deep meditation and he comes and disturbs him. So
right.
Shiva opens his 3rd eye, and from there, that heat, that the energy that comes out comes in 6 different rays, and that I think burns the Lord of love, and
Mm,
that is maybe either it destroys him or he's not able to hold it, so he gives it to Agni and it passes on to
mm,
6
yeah.
different people, and finally it comes to Mother Ganges, and there he becomes it forms 6 different lotuses, and
Mm,
each lotus has one baby in it.
right.
That is
So,
when the Kritikas come and take care, and there is someone who comes and merges them all into one body, but 6 heads.
Parvati.
So this is, yeah, Parvati. This is
Parvati comes and gathers the 6 babies
6
and
babies.
unites them into one
Yeah.
body with 6.
Yeah. So this is another angle to the thing. This I think was there when we did the Mandala Vatika, the Murugan Mandala Vatika. This was what was
yeah.
mentioned.
My
And I
daughter,
think it is Kamadeva who was destroyed when Shiva opens the 3rd eye.
3rd eye.
That fire destroys Kamadeva completely. So then Parvati, or I don't know who, says that if Kamadeva is destroyed, then the entire creation process comes to an end. So they tell Shiva, you have to revive Kamadeva. This is another story I heard. And that is how from that fire that Kamadeva was, that fire embers, no? The entire Kamadeva had become almost ash. So some 6 fire, what do you call it? Little embers were there. And
Yeah, those
then Agni takes it and he also can't hold it and then gives it to Gangama, and then all that other stories, that 6 lotus and all that. I think in each state, the story gets a little more and more interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, my daughter danced for this, she did Bharatanatyam debut. Her Bharatanatyam is like almost hour long, on this Muruga, different stories of Muruga, like where he competes with when Ganesha with that mango thing, and and then this other song was about this 6, how the 6 babies were born and all that. So I'll find it. I'll find the thing and I'll post it for you guys.
Then Sarasamasmi Sagaraha, and the ocean among the reservoirs, water reservoirs. And Maharshinam Bhruguraham Giramasme Kaksharam Yajnanam Japayajnosmi Stavaranam Himalayah. So among the sages, I am Bhrugu. Bhrugu is either one of the Saptarishis, and he is the reason why we have Govinda in Tirumala, and Rama. He's also the cause of Rama Avtara, and he's also the reason
Linga.
why Brahma is not worshipped anywhere. Also the reason why Linga, Shiva is worshipped as a Linga in the Lingakara.
Yeah, when you asked the father, I thought he said Brahma, right? Initially that he was the son of
Brahma
Brahma.
Manasa Putra.
Yeah, this Prabhu. So that's why, he didn't, when he went to ask the question, I don't know whether, I don't know the whole story, but.
Yeah, can you please quickly revise why Brahma was cursed and then the Linga worship?
I think
Quick.
Daksha was, I don't know who was performing a yajna. They wanted to know whom the yajna phala should go. So Bhrigu
The
sets out to
Saptarishis.
find out. He first goes to Brahmaloka, where he finds Brahma is engaged with Saraswati and is completely engrossed in listening to her veena. So he doesn't pay attention. So then he curses Brahma and he says, you will not be worshipped anywhere on earth. So therefore, we don't have any temples for Brahma except one in Nepal, I think. Then he goes to Shiva, and Shiva is in Tandav with Parvati. So therefore, he says, since you're so engrossed with her, you will be worshipped as a Lingakara. You will not have a form. You will only be worshipped in the Linga form. And then he comes to Vishnu. Vishnu is also busy with the Lakshmi. But then he says, if none of the 3 devas, if no one is the yajna phala, no one is able to take that. So he kicks Vishnu on the left side of his chest to wake him up from his stupor.
He didn't want to be insulted by the third Trimurtis. So in his rage, he kicks Vishnu.
him on the left side, which is where Lakshmi is. So that is when
and so that's how she
Lakshmi
goes
leaves.
to Kolhapur and then Venkatesha in the Tirupati, is it?
Yes.
Lore says, yeah, Lakshmi, I don't, maybe Kolhapur, but she is born as Padmavati.
She's Padmavati. Kolhapur Ambaba is Padmavati.
So, and then in search of her, Vishnu takes the form of Govinda and he emerges in Tirumala. That is one. And Rama Avatara also, he is the cause where, what was that?
Brihu's wife was protecting
Correct.
the
Thank you.
asuras. So
Right.
Vishnu says
want
that
the one
I will
topic.
change the law that
Vishesha Dharma.
Vishesha Dharma, where even I will destroy my devotees to protect Dharma, and
Correct.
therefore he will destroy Brihu's wife. And Brihu has son is that Shukracharya, so he says, I will now become the enemy of Vishnu.
And he curses Vishnu, saying, just like how you have,
Correct.
you have taken away my wife and I'm suffering because of that, you will also suffer. So therefore, Rama in Rama Avatara, that one, the last year, Sita is kidnapped by Ravana and he pangs for her for that last 1 year.
Same way with Krishna's birth. There is some curse on Vishnu and that's why he takes birth of Krishna. Does anyone know about it?
Yeah, maybe it will be in Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Rama and
see
Krishna's
how
story is also connected, no? It is Rama who was born as Krishna because Rama's karma had to be completed, and therefore he comes as Krishna. And Devaki had prayed that Narayana be born to her. She only wanted to be the mother, but she did not pray to bring him up. So that is why, though she is the biological mother, it is Yashoda who was the mother who brought him up. And in this process, during this life of Krishna, whatever Rama had done, all that is cancelled out in Krishna Avatar. So in the end, Krishna's death is also by Vali, who comes as the hunter. So to cancel out Rama's whatever karma, the same thing was reversed for Krishna.
Eka Patni and then so many Patni he has. All of that.
Yeah,
Right.
It is said Rama is a Dharma Avatara, whereas Krishna is an Ananda Avatara. He's totally, he has 16, he is born with those 16 kalas, no? He's a complete Purna Avatara, Krishna, whereas Rama is, he lived the life like a human being. He went through all the emotions.
12 kalas, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe 12.
12 kalas.
I don't know exactly, but Krishna has got 16 kalas. Complete apparently all the 16 kalas.
And also after Krishna Avatar, the Yuga ended, no? So Pralayam came. That's what I think I heard somewhere. That's how everything ended after Krishna Avatar and the Kali Yuga started.
Is it? Okay. Pralaya came. But his son, after Mahabharata, then this Pandava's son was Parikshit and all. Then it continued, right?
Yeah, Pralaya comes after Mahayuga, isn't it? I mean, not Mahayuga.
Correct.
There was no
comes after
Pralaya,
Kalpa.
but this change of Yuga. There was a change of Yuga.
Change of Yuga happens. Because see, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam is one Kalpa, one day of Brahmaji. So 1000 Mahayugas have to pass before Pralaya happens. So one Yuga merges into the other Yuga. So after the Dwapara Yuga, started
the Kali Yuga.
Kali Yuga.
Thank you. I'm sorry I got mixed up.
Yeah, Bela says Ma Saraswati Veena's name is Raghunath Veena as per Google. Maryada Purushottam, right. Yeah. I know it'll be nice. So a lot of people actually have sent me their email IDs for Mahabharata. So any of you who still is not and is still keen to read about the Mahabharata thing, then please do send me your email IDs on a separate message, and I will of course share it with you. It's a huge file, so I'm not able to post it on the group. Otherwise, it could have been, I could have posted, but I'm not able to post it as a file on the group.
Would
So
it be a good
here,
idea to make all the emails together so that even which you are unable to send it on WhatsApp group, you could send it on the email. If you take at least the ones who are attending the Manana session regularly, if
yeah,
you have, yeah.
yeah. And I know I've mentioned this earlier. It's only for want of time, not able to fix out a time. But I think it will be nice if we come together and we start either Mahabharata or one of the Itihasas, and we can do it, we can read it individually, but it'll be nice if we can do it as a group. Let's see. Hopefully we'll get that time.
I'm sorry, I'm missing this Manana Brahmaraji. Meri roz 9 to 10 class hoti hai and I have to leave.
Oh,
I'm missing every day.
I know.
Feeling so bad.
I know it is only for another less than a week or so from now. Today is what, 17th, no? Yeah, it's about a week from now. We will resume our earlier timings. Sorry, I'm inconveniencing
No,
some
no,
of
no,
you.
no, my dear. I'm just missing that charm. No, it is so nice to
Yeah,
watch the live Manana session. I have
right.
so many things to do and I forget by the time I come again. I definitely listen, but I miss
Yeah,
this.
correct. We miss you too, Bela. You know, I would recommend everyone, whenever we have doubts, to just pen them down. You can even post it in the WhatsApp group so that we don't forget asking Nana. Because during the Manana, there are so many, some of us have these questions coming up. So they might just go without getting clarified if we miss putting them down.
Yeah, sure, Brahmaraji. Hari Om.
Hari Om. So in the Giram, among the words, Ekam Aksharam Asmi, I am the single syllable Om. You know, Swamiji has so beautifully described this thing in the PDF, in that how Om is such a complete syllable, complete word, so to say, or a single syllable. When you open your mouth, ah comes out, and when you purse your lips, it is oo, and when you close your mouth, it is m. So apparently, all the words are engulfed in these three letters. It's in the single syllable Om, and actually, it signifies the waking state. U is the sustaining state, and is the resolution, is the dissolution state. So it includes all of creation. That is another aspect. And the third aspect is all the alphabets. There are when you look at the Sanskrit alphabet, it seems there are 54 in the Arohana, when you ascend it, and when you descend. So there are complete, when you do 54 from the beginning till the end, and then from the end to the beginning again. So that's Arohanam and Avarohanam. So that makes it 108. So apparently, when you chant the name of the Lord, or do any chant 108 times, it is like you are including the whole set of words. So it's a very complete thing. So therefore, we have this 108 chants. Usually that's where we have this Ashtottara, right? So that completes it. So Swamiji has given it very beautifully. So I would urge, maybe if we can go and revisit that in the PDF. It was very good. And how Om also represents, is the closest word that represents Brahma. That's nothing is as close to Atma, Parabrahma as Om is. It is because it is from there that all the other words are manifest. Therefore, Giram Ekam Aksharam Asmi. So if you chant Om, that is also meditative. It is, someone was earlier, we were talking about Om in, I think, the 9th chapter. Someone was saying when you chant Om, it actually takes you to the what is that? A contemplative state. And even for Japa Yajna, Japa Yajna does not require any dravya, doesn't require any material, like as against the other yajnas, where you have to collect some material, do this and that. So that requires money. And in order to get money, you might, you will have to compete in the world. You might be depriving someone of their kind of their occupation or so, because you have to earn money. So you're doing all that. So there is some element of maybe papa that might come in order to do every other yajna. Whereas when you do japa yajna, all it requires is just you. It doesn't require any material. And therefore, japa yajna is considered the highest form of yajna. And that is why he said, I'm the ritual of japa. Yeah. So does anyone want to share anything? Otherwise, we'll go to chapter 2.
That's very nice, you know, you all Deepak covered all of that. So we are in 72 today, right?
72, 72. Yeah, it is the last verse we have, right? One second. Yeah. So I'll just read the last paragraph. When Krishna talked to Arjuna and when Shankara wrote his commentaries, there was doership. But neither Krishna nor Shankara looked upon themselves as the doer. Doership for the wise person is just doing. The notion, I am the doer, is not there. This means that the Sthita Prajna continues to be Brahman. Therefore, Krishna concluded, Esha Brahmi Sthite Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Sthitva Syamanta Kalepi Brahma Nirvanam Richati. Partha, O son of Pritha, Arjuna, Esha, this Brahmi Sthitihi, the state of being in Brahman. Enam, this Prapya, having gained, na vimuhyati, is not deluded. antakale, at the end of life, api, even, asyam, therein, stitva, remaining, brahma nirvanam, liberation, richati, gains. So this is what is meant by being steady in Brahman, O Partha. Having gained this, one is not deluded. Remaining therein, even at the end of one's life, one gains liberation. The steady knowledge, jnana nishtha, that has been the topic of Krishna's teaching from the beginning, is steadfastness in Brahman, Brahmanishta. In between, Karma Yoga was pointed out, and Arjuna's question concerning the definition of a Sthita Prajna was answered. This same steady wisdom being again mentioned. Jnana Nishtha means steady knowledge, and Brahma Nishtha is one whose knowledge is that Atma is Brahman. And Brahmanishta is one whose knowledge is that Atma is Brahman. It is this knowledge called Brahmanishta that is being praised here in the last verse of the second chapter. Sthiti refers to this nishtha, or steadfastness in the knowledge. Addressing Arjuna as Partha, the son of Pritha, Krishna told Arjuna that being a Sthita Prajna is the state, sthiti, of being in Brahman, born of the knowledge of Brahman. However, once we use the word state, there is a problem, because being only a state, it will not always be the same. Previously, something was not, and now this something is in a particular state. Later, using the same logic, it will be lost when another state is gained, just as the previous state was lost when this state was gained. When the waking state goes, dream comes. When the dream state goes, sleep comes. When sleep also goes, waking comes. When this particular life is gone, another life comes. Because of centrifugal force, we find that certain things are in a particular state or position, and when the force is gone, they are no more in the same position. Similarly, any state is subject to loss, subject to change. Otherwise, it would not be called a state. It is important to note that we are not discussing samadhi here, which is a state. The question about what happens after one comes out of samadhi often arises. The final state of samadhi, wherein there are no thought modifications whatsoever, the nirvikalpa samadhi, is a state and therefore will be lost. Since Krishna used the word sthiti here, one may question how long the state will last, if indeed it is ever gained. The word state is used in this verse only for want of a better word, and does not mean something that will be lost. This nishtha is knowledge, knowledge of Brahman. It is not that Atma goes into Brahman and sits there. All that is there is Atma, the self, and the self happens to be Brahman. Therefore, it is something to be understood. So it is not something to be gained. We keep saying gained, gained. No, it is actually something that has to be removed. It is only removal of ignorance, the veil of ignorance, and it is uncovered. What is underneath is uncovered. It is always there. Knowledge of Brahman is not a state. There is no Brahman other than Atma. Atma is Brahman. If Atma is Brahman, it is a matter for understanding. It is not a state. It is knowledge, gaining which the person is no more deluded. Because knowledge is not a state, the wise person never dons the cloak of delusion again. Therefore, one's old ignorance does not come back. Such notions that were based on ignorance, such as I am a jiva, a mortal, a doer, an enjoyer, also do not return. You may fret about whether the false notions will come back again. You may think, suppose the doer, the enjoyer comes back. Again, I will have all the old problems. Then what will I do? I will have to find another guru. My present guru will send me away because, having taught me once, he will not want to teach me again. What will I do? Again, I will have to come back. I will have to assume another body, and everything will start all over again. There is no such problem because what we are discussing here is not a state. It is knowledge. Knowledge gained is gained for good. Atma is Brahman. When its Swarupa, its nature is understood, there is no more Jiva. The individual is gone. There are no more false notions about oneself, and the old delusion does not return. So much of reassurance it is. So it is like once you've put on the light of knowledge, the darkness cannot come back again. It is only light. So once the ignorance is removed, once the knowledge dawns, then that state becomes steady. You become Brahmanishta happens. It is never too late to gain self-knowledge. Am I audible? Is it clear?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. Krishna then said that remaining in this knowledge of Brahman, the wise person gains moksha in this life itself. Living, he or she is liberated. Also, there is one more piece of information given. Liberation is possible even for a person who is in the last lap of his or her life. The person may be very old. The ears may no longer hear. The eyes may not see. The liver may not work. The heart may be palpitating. And the person may always be scratching his or her head in order to remember things, none of which matters at all. Even if a person is old and is in the last days of his or her life, the person can know, helped by all life experiences. The old problems are no longer there. The old problems are no longer there and everything has been tried anyway. It is only those who cannot even try any longer who tend to think of themselves as lonely. I cannot go out boating or fishing. I can no longer catch any salmon. They move too fast for me. Now it is deer season and all the deer escape from me. I cannot even drive a car and I am in an old age home. No one comes to see me except at Christmas time. Even then, my family asks me how I am and goes away again. For such people, these are big problems. Whereas, if a person has some discrimination and has learned what life can teach, nothing is really a problem for him or her anymore. Life is meant for all this. Children are born and call you daddy and then granddaddy. When you are a daddy, you are supposed to be a viveki, one who can discriminate the real from the unreal. And when you are a granddaddy, you are supposed to be a grand viveki. Naturally, then, such a person is ready. If all the people go away and he's left with himself, it should not be a problem. By now, the person should know that nothing is really with him or her except some social security, perhaps. There is no other security. Then, having some viveka, if the person listens to the Shastra, the knowledge will stick. Why? Because the person is mature. Here I would like to add here that Swamiji had mentioned that there's something called Bhava Prakriti. That is, it is in the nature of Prakriti itself that a child matures and becomes an adult. That is physical maturity. That is Bhava Prakriti. Where Bhava Vikara or Bhava Prakriti, right? But whereas the ability to mature emotionally, Swamiji had mentioned this also in the Gita introduction, to mature emotionally requires a certain amount of discrimination and self-will. Unless a person wills it, he will not emotionally mature. He will only grow in age, but he will not grow in wisdom. So for that Purushartha is required, that discrimination, viveka, and self-effort. So all that will help make one from a viveki to become a grand viveki as we age. Otherwise, we'll remain where we are. And the highest form of emotional maturation is when you realize that you are nothing but Brahman. Moksha need not take time. An old person has already gone through all the experiences that make one wiser. For such a person, one sentence, if presented properly, is enough. He or she should be mature by this time and therefore should have no emotional problems or ragas and dveshas. This kind of mature person, even though close to death, can gain the knowledge. Earlier in this chapter, we saw the story about King Parikshit that bears this out. A curse was placed on him that he would die in a week. He went to Vyasa's son, Shuka, who was a jnani, and told him that he had only 1 week to live. In response, Shuka just laughed. "Why are you laughing?" the king asked. "I'm going to die in a week." Shuka then explained why he was laughing. "You are lucky," he said. "You say you are going to die in a week. This means that you know you are going to be alive for 7 days, whereas I myself have no such guarantee. Since you are sure you are going to live for 7 days, it is definitely a matter for celebration. You are lucky. My God, you can be Brahman by that time. 7 days are more than enough time to change one's whole perspective." And sure enough, in 7 days, this king became a jnani. Thus, even if you are suffering from a terminal disease or are very old, it makes no difference. You can gain moksha or liberation. Shankara then completed the sentence. If a person about to die can gain moksha, anyone can. Even as a brahmachari, before one enters the second stage of life, which is marriage, a person who takes to this study can gain moksha. Then, for as long as he or she lives, the person lives in the knowledge of Brahman. When the ears hear, the eyes see, the mind is thinking, and memory is a possibility, knowledge can definitely be gained. If a person whose memory is gone, whose eyes do not see, and whose ears do not hear can gain this knowledge, all the more possible is the knowledge for one whose body is healthy and whose mind is bright. There being no doubt that knowledge is all that is to be gained for one to be liberated, the second chapter comes to an end. Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Sankhya Yogo Nama Dvitiyodhyayaha. अथ तृतीयोऽध्यायः कर्मयोगः अर्जुन उवाच जायसि चेत् कर्मणस्ते मता बुद्धिर्जनार्दन तत् किं कर्मणि घोरे मां नियोजयसि केशव. So we'll do the does anyone want to share anything before we chant the Gita Mahatmya? Can share our input, the last shloka.
Basically, Bhagavan says that you can attain knowledge at any point. It doesn't have to be, young or old or sick or healthy. Anybody can do it as long as you you think about it, to acquire knowledge, right?
Yeah,
And you're persistent and do it.
correct.
There isn't any excuse for it. Somewhere else, I was listening to another, um, the way you meditate on, like this particular, the paragraph, it was nice. Some of the, some things that you meditate upon, like you don't have raga dveshas, or like, that's what we were talking about, right? Like viveka, you are viveki and you have the vairagya to pursue this. So those are the things I think we have to focus on, and actually enquiring yourself is even a lot more needed when we need to go into this particular stuff. So that's where this question comes, like you keep thinking about somewhere, there was a thing about celebrating birthdays and stuff like that. The birthday is like you don't have a birth, if you keep doing that, um, where I don't know, there's in Sanskrit there is a word you are saying chanta something. If you keep thinking about that, and that's what's going to happen. So you keep taking births again and again. So you take your birth out of your consciousness. So it's kind of that you take those things out of it, like birth and death, and you don't have any fear of those things, and you concentrate on this atma, this space. So this atma is a thought. It is prior to any thought arises in your mind. So some of
That's
those things.
interesting.
Yeah.
But there's also another perspective to celebrating birthdays. It is reminding you that it is reminding you your origin. That is one. Second, just like how there's a wave that is created on the ocean, it is reminding you that you're nothing but the ocean. You are like a wave of
So
the ocean.
what this is like when you look in this term is both like a Maya, right? This birth, death, and all these things is there, but that is so we experience, we know what body is, we know what mind is because we have these thoughts and all these things, but then we don't know Atma. So where is it? Like if we gonna keep thinking about it, then you want to get rid of these kind of thoughts, like meditating on this information. Like, I understand that we, celebrating birthday and things like that, but then for Atma, there is no birth or death. It's there always.
That is true. That is Ajam, no?
Yeah.
Ajam Shashvatam.
So that's why they don't have this. So then who are you? Then if you are say you are the self, so then yourself doesn't have a birth or death. So you don't have to be dwelling on those kind of things, and then that is where that comes, so it is just to that point where you say, you are you, what are you, who are you? So you say, I am Brahman, I am self. That means you don't have a birth or death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So
just
that.
thinking, very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
See, now that we have been introduced to this, having gained this little bit of knowledge, it's all conceptual knowledge.
Yeah, it is.
Next comes execution.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to translate this into our lives so that
Right.
it ultimately culminates in its fruition. That's the whole purpose. No, otherwise it's just like listening to it. It will
No,
be
no.
there somewhere in our mind and
Right.
may
So
not
this.
be. You will have to apply this knowledge. So
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm only thinking maybe it'll be a good exercise for us to write down what all we do from the morning till we sleep,
Yeah.
where all our mind goes, where all our senses take us.
It goes everywhere.
It goes everywhere. And how you can contain them and how you can prioritize. See, there are swadharma you have to continue doing, your swakarma you have to do, nitya karma you have to do. I mean, one has to do. And then swadhyaya. So when instead of, when we write this down, then it'll give us an opportunity to see where we are spending our time fruitlessly, and will give
Yeah.
us an opportunity to contain our raga and dvesha, at least give out those ragas and dveshas, and
Yeah.
see whether in our process of thinking, it's a thought process. No, everything boils down to your thought process, how
Yeah.
your thinking process happens. So if we can refine our thinking process more and more, then
Mhm.
you will be doing things which are dharmic. That is number one. And number two, you would prioritize what is to be done. And three, the more dharmic you are, the less ragas and dveshas you're kind of caught up with. And
Right.
so it
It
is,
kind of, you're right. Like we have this conceptual knowledge, but then trying to put it in practice is going to take time. But then you have to include everyone. Realize. I mean, more aware of what you're doing. That's what you're saying, to write it down and all this
right,
things.
right.
Yeah, definitely it would help.
Yeah.
But it
I mean,
is
there's
not.
only one aspect of it.
Yeah.
There'll be so many ways you can do it. That's different, but this is just one
No,
way.
it's a good way to do it also, because then um I was trying to think, like, not think, like, I thought I don't have any thoughts in my head. Even thinking that you don't have any thought itself, you're thinking, right?
Correct. Correct.
So where is this no thought coming? Like that thing I told you, Atma's, like, is prior to your thought, like it's a space, right? So there's nothing should be there. So even to know that, like, your thought, so before that moment or that fraction of moment before that thought arises, to check whether you have a thought in your head, that's when that Atma is. So I'm trying to figure it out, like, okay, but I am not doing one day I'm doing this. I caught myself, but then that's where I have to figure out when I should do the meditation, when I should do the pranayama and the walking and all these
But
things,
it is nothing like you should not have thoughts.
It's not like that, but you're
Yeah.
trying to figure out before thought happens. This is what.
Yeah. The space between one thought and the other, the
Right.
space, that is
Yeah. So that
it
between
says
that
no,
or
what is that? Madhava, ane, antare Madhava.
yeah, something. So I just thought I'll share that with you guys, and yeah, you're
Madhava
right.
is when you get the experience of infinity of Atma is between one thought and another, between one
Mm,
breath and the other. That is why when you hold your breath, that is when
mm,
when you do that
don't-
kumbhaka, that is
mm,
when you're actually in touch with your true nature.
mm, yeah, yeah. Now we are counting the numbers, I, I try not to do that, but then you're listening to somebody's counting and all that stuff,
What
So
counting?
like when you take a breath, it's like they
Aha,
count at
correct.
2, 4, like that,
Right.
and you hold it for 2, 3, 4, and then
Correct.
you
Yeah,
out.
that is required initially, but once you are practicing it for a length of time, that the count naturally it happens. You don't need to really count. You know exactly for how long you hold.
You can do it.
Yeah, you can do it without the remembrance of the count.
Mm. Yeah, I'm still not doing the meditation. One day, if I do the pranayama and the meditation kind of skipped.
Mm,
But anyway, I'll have to figure that out.
mm, mm. I'm thinking with respect to
Mm.
ragas and dveshas, because that is the crux, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a situation, I'm in a dilemma, because we require social media to stay connected, even for, say, Manala like this, unless we have a WhatsApp group, for instance, where a lot of sharing is happening. That is one.
Right.
But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, that is also kind of a downfall, because that becomes the biggest distraction. I've been experiencing that in the last 3-4 days,
Mm.
where I'm on Facebook and I want to post some posts, but when
Mm.
you're posting the post, you inadvertently, your mind, the senses take you towards other posts, and then
Mm.
it gets caught up, and the amount of time you spend is quite unimaginable. How your mind gets drawn, the senses get drawn into that. So
Yeah.
one thing is to be drastic and say, okay, I'm going to leave all social media, I'm going to step out of it, and that therefore you're kind of forcibly getting yourself there, but that rasa is still there, that emotional value might still be there. So
Yeah. It's
ultimately,
kind. Yeah.
yeah,
That's the only connection you have with your family and your friends. Like friends meaning, like I have my classmates, like from med school, they have WhatsApp group, but they themselves like 3 different groups. But everywhere, they post, oh, I had a grandchild or something or other, I had to wish them, I don't go through that pages and pages of things they post. I kind of not
yeah.
read those.
So that the dilemma is,
Yeah.
one is it enables you to stay connected. So
Yeah.
through that, you can kind of, it helps you in doing your seva if you want to reach out to people regarding
Right.
courses and all that. But at the
Mm.
same time, it also is one of your most important distractions. So caught up in this.
Yeah. It was kind of like yesterday, right? We finished by 10:45. So since I'm sitting and talking to you, I mean, listening to you guys, and then I don't see my husband, like morning he gets up and leaves, and the evening when he comes, I'm in the class. So yesterday I said, "What are you doing?" And he was watching one movie. It's about the girl the women cricket player, about that movie.
Is that Shabash Mittu or something? Mittu.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So he was halfway watching, and I said, "Well, let me sit down." And then I sat down, and I was just sitting with him. So
Yeah.
like that, like you kind of, yeah. Normally, I don't turn on the TV to watch. I mean, I have stopped doing that for a long time now. But a couple of occasions, like I have turned on the TV. Okay, let me see what's going on and what the news is. I don't see the news even. Sometimes I turn it on and see what's going on. So, like that, you said, yeah, there are these things happening, and as long as I'm myself and doing this regularly, but something else, like the other day, my friend came to visit me, then it totally kind of disrupt my routine. But then again, I have to live with that. I cannot be shutting everybody down and just be myself, right?
Correct. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think we should be a normal, natural person. At the same time, be aware
And
of whether these desires and our actions are binding us. See,
right.
non-binding desires are fine. See,
Mhm.
you watching that movie along with your husband is I think harmless. Wherein
Mhm.
if you think, oh, if I don't watch it, then it becomes you become miserable. Then that is a binding desire.
Yeah, that's true.
But that is okay. I think I'm not sure whether that would not be a binding thing on you. But at the
Right.
same time, um, getting to know that rasa might still be there. That rasa of wanting to,
The taste for wanting to watch more movie, that
yeah.
might be a good idea, but it's
So
so to
that is
do
what
some.
we are feeding. Every time we're doing such activities, we are feeding into that rasa.
Mm,
Whereas here, what we want to do is liberate ourselves from that rasa.
that is true.
So
Yeah.
I think awareness is the key, number one, and um, and have non-binding desires.
Yeah.
So for me, what I decided today, that's what I'm going to do. Is at least I'm going to leave some of the groups where they're not really. mm,
Needed
I
to
don't.
be.
Yeah, I'm going to give
Yeah.
it a try for 1 month. I'm going to voluntarily leave, and
Mm,
because I'm into so many groups, it's
mm.
unbelievable. So something you create one group and it remains. So
Yeah.
that one half an hour, 1 hour I'm going to spend, and I'm going to just leave some
Delete
groups,
everything. Yeah.
delete, and tell
Yeah.
them that I'm temporarily quitting the group. I
Yeah.
will do that. Same with Facebook. Instagram, anyway, I'm not so much into.
Yeah.
Facebook, yes, because see, there are such nice posts. Gurudev's posts are there. At the
Oh.
same time, there are also other posts all
Mm,
about all the mundane stuff going on in the world.
mhm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I
that
don't
is what I
go
will do.
to Facebook that often, but yeah, I get my classmates, they post something, then they keep sending the notification, right? And that comes up once in a
Yeah.
while. I'll click on it to see what's going on.
So, a lot of self effort required. So, Purushartha is to turn now inside,
Yeah.
within, and then cleanse ourselves.
Yeah.
So shall I read the Gita Mahatmya? It's already late for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Gita Shastramidam Punyam Yaf Patet Prayatah Puman Vishnu Padamavapnoti Bhaya Shokadi Varjitaha. I think is that Sutta
This is
Vacha, it starts off, right?
this is the Mahatmyam. Okay.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
this is the short version. This is what
Oh,
you were asking, maybe.
right,
Okay,
right. Yeah.
good that we've got this because we've
Mm.
kind of late also today. So let me just read this one. Yeah. गीताध्ययनशीलस्य प्राणायामपरस्य च नैव सन्ति हि पापानि पूर्वजन्मकृतानि च मलनिर्मोचनं पुंसां जलस्नानं दिने दिने सकृद् गीताम्भसि स्नानं संसारमलनाशनम् गीता सुगीता कर्तव्या किमन्यैः शास्त्रविस्तरैः या स्वयं पद्मनाभस्य मुखपद्माद्विनिसृताः भारतामृतसर्वस्वं विष्णोर्वक्त्राद्विनिस्मृतम् गीता गङ्गोदकं पीत्वा पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्रगीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा. So one who with a regulated mind recites with devotion this Bhagavad Gita scripture, which is the bestower of all virtue, will attain to a holy abode such as Vaikuntha, the residence of Lord Vishnu, which is always free from mundane qualities based on fear and lamentation. If one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him. One may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in water, but if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. The Gita should always be sung with devotion. The divine song emanated from the holy lotus mouth of the Supreme Lord himself, Lord Sri Krishna. What more can any other scriptures give? By drinking the Ganges water of the Gita, that is, by devotionally reciting the Gita, the divine quintessence, nectar of the Mahabharata, emanating from the holy lotus mouth of Lord Vishnu, one will never take rebirth in the material world again. The cycle of birth and death will be terminated. All the Upanishads are like a cow, and the milker of the cow is Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda. Arjuna is the calf. The beautiful nectar of the Gita is the milk, and the fortunate devotees of fine theistic intellect are the drinkers and enjoyers of that milk. There need be only one holy scripture, the divine Gita sung by Lord Krishna, Lord Sri Krishna. Only one worshipable Lord, Lord Sri Krishna. Only one mantra, his holy names, and only one duty, devotional service unto that supreme worshipable Lord Sri Krishna.
This is Shankara's Mahatmya.
Yeah,
It's very nice. Yeah.
this is the short one that you were asking. I
Right.
will share this in the group. Yeah, it so happened I just chanced to open this today.
Oh, that's good. Good.
Yeah.
All right. So tomorrow we're going to do Atma Bodha.
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om shanti shanti shanti. Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu. Yeah, tomorrow we'll do the Atma Bodh. We'll revise Atma Bodh before we go to chapter 3.
Okay. Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Jai Gurudev.
Thank you.